So, as I'm filming this, it's May 13th. As you can tell by the hat, I'm graduating college, which is so weird to me because I feel like I just graduated high school yesterday. And now it's here, it just kind of started and now it's over with. And I don't really know where the time went. I don't. But there's nothing I can do about it now, right? I'm here. It's a great thing, but it's also really scary. I'm nervous because even though I've technically crossed that adult threshold, it feels real now because there's no more of this, right? It's on me now, which if I'm going to be an optimist about it, it's cool, right? I have the opportunity to shape my life how I want it to be. So that's pretty cool. But I am nervous nonetheless. And I don't know. I don't even know if I'm going to stick with this. I got pink on right now. I feel like as the older I become, I've appreciated the color more. But I'm deciding between pink and white. This is what I do to keep my mind off of the nerves. And I also sit here. I'm like, I should just kind of be, just preparing. But I saw something and I can't help myself. I just can't. So I'm here and we're going to do this as if nothing else is going on today. I saw this video and it was kind of odd to me. I was a bit torn at first, but then after watching it and kind of reading the reactions to it, I took my stance. And it just makes me think about like the culmination of everything, or at least the vast majority of what I've talked about, especially since I started, which is primarily about race and specifically African Americans in terms of like the culture that we tolerate and how that contributes to like our upbringing or maybe the opportunities that we have or how our life turns out. And I saw this and I'm like, man, like, this is how it starts, and it's unfortunate that this is, like, a thing, but it helps to have an example, right? So, essentially, it was this little boy with a bunch of, like, older guys or whatnot, and he's rapping to a song, and he's got all this money, and I'm not gonna spoil it because you can just watch it or listen to it, but if you are watching it, enjoy.
These bitches will put it on their own kids that they love your homie don't believe it. Done asking for money and shit, like I had it easy. Stop fucking with you, love for a reason. One thing about it, I never get nothing to do. I just get easy. Might fuck on your best friend, fuck on your sister, then record. You lying to me, want me to believe it. Really? I'm fucking the city up, I'm fucking the world up, having the oil. And these niggas talking like they won't fall, but they really involved. I'm saying the record straight, I'm willing to demonstrate anything. And I gotta say what I'm finna say. I really came up off the interstate. I got out of jail with no money. Nothing. I really found the snow. Oh, way home. I came up out the whole thing. I got the hospital for money. I loaded them into a tower. I do it off with a Lamborghini.
So you look at that and you can be like, oh, that's funny, right? It's like a little kid rapping to this song and he's flashing all this money and he's flipping you off and he's got, this big chain on or whatnot. And you look at it first glance, it might be funny, but this got a lot of attention and it honestly surprised me how torn like the response was, right? Now, the person who quoted the video, I guess they're a teacher, they put the caption as, "The boys I teach who are this age, their conversations are about whether Superman would beat Thanos in a fight. This is actually so sad. Every single adult should be arrested for child endangerment." Now, I looked at that and I'm like, okay, I see where he's coming from. And I honestly expected the vast majority of the response to be like that. And it was not like that. It was honestly split with people being like, just mind your own business, or it's not that big a deal. It's just a kid having fun. And then there was the other half who were kind of like people like me, like, how is this even like a debate? How is this even an argument as to like the response and how people should feel about this? And I saw the specific one, it caught my eye. It said, "It's none of your business. We need to all learn to mind our own business when it comes to other people's kids. He's not being abused. Y'all are mad because he's singing his dad's song in front of his dad, LOL." Now, yes, I'm a proponent of minding my own business up to a certain degree. When it involves children, like that's when you cross the line, right? But before I even get into that, the whole minding your own business thing for the internet is hilarious. Because if you record yourself doing something and you put it on the internet, you are essentially saying, hey, everyone, get in my business. Like, this is what I'm doing, and it is now open for everyone to comment on it. So the whole mind your own business thing is kind of weird. I see that a lot with Dwayne Wade's kid, with his kid wanting to transition into a different gender, and they're like appalled at the response. And then you have all these other people basically telling, those who are criticizing Dwayne Wade to mind their own business, as if these people aren't putting it out there. Now, I get their case might be a little bit different because he's already a celebrity and it's kind of hard for them to dodge the public eye. But then at the same time, there are a lot of celebrities who are really private who don't put their business out in the street. So you putting your information on the internet and then telling people to mind their own business is really ironic to me, because you're asking people indirectly to get all up in your business by putting it out there. That's just how I see it. But then, like I said, the whole thing about minding your own business when it comes to kids, I just don't think it applies, right? Anybody who's doing anything detrimental to themselves, I feel like you should get over the whole mind your business thing. If you see somebody, an adult, even if they're an adult, if they're self-harming, I don't think you're just going to be like, oh, I'm just going to mind my own business. It's none of my concern. Like, if you see that, my hope is that you would, like, try to help in any way that you can. Like, try something to get them the assistance that they need so that they can stop doing that, right? So in a case like this, it's this kid, and like I said, I talk about race on here a lot, so I'll bring it up. It's this black kid. This kid can't be 10 years old. He's got to be between maybe, I want to say 8, 9. He's probably one of those two. This is a child who's rapping a song obviously about nothing like positive, and I know that's kind of lame to say. The vast majority of rap isn't like really positive, and I'm not going to sit up here all high and mighty as if I don't listen to it, but I'm also 22. I can differentiate between that and reality. Now, I also dial back on it because I've talked about it before, how music isn't just like a bunch of words that you listen to. Up to a certain point, it starts to speak to you, right? It might affect your mood, and it could possibly influence how you see life and how you view life and how you might go about your business. So even for myself, at 22 years of age, I've dialed back on it because a lot of what they talk about is not good, right? So you're putting this in the ear of a 8 or 9-year-old, and he's rapping it and flashing his money and flipping the camera off and cussing and doing all this stuff like that. I mean, yeah, a lot of people are going to get all up into these people's business because this is how it starts. And I've talked about it before, right? I know that I graduate today, but I have time right now. I have time because the ceremony doesn't start for another few hours. So let's talk about it, right? This is how it starts, is you have a kid, a black kid, who grows up in an environment in which he sees these things, right? This is not just entertainment. He sees these things. He begins to emulate them. And we think it's funny, and some people might think it's cute because he's a kid, but he begins to incorporate these things into his lifestyle, right? The way that they talk about women and how they got ops everywhere, right? And how they deal with them. Idolizing guns. Bro's gonna grow up and become Ja Morant, right? Like, just trying to be hard and trying to run around like he really needs to carry it on him, right? Flashing money or whatnot. Like, you're doing all these things. You are laying the foundation for a potential life that leads down a very bad road. And in the black community, in the general sense, there is a cycle, right? Is that these kids, they grow up in environments that are real shaky, right? They either have one parent present or no parents present, or whoever is in their life is not the best influence. Therefore, they turn to all of these other things that they see in rappers and entertainers and all the stuff that they're idolizing. These are kids. So they're going to internalize it, right? They imitate everything that they see. So they grew up and thinking that this stuff is cool and that they need to get into it. Guess what? They grow up and they engage in all these activities. I'm black. I went to a predominantly black school. Trust and believe I saw it. A bunch of kids who don't need to be gangbangers or be thugs, just idolizing that lifestyle and like seeking it out. But then they grow up. That's even if they live that long, right? It's even if they graduate, right? Then they go out into the real world and now it's serious, right? But they're so ingrained in this life that this is all they know. All they know is guns, drugs, money, messing around with a bunch of women, all the stuff like that. And then half of them are going to grow up to be rappers or entertainers, and they're going to regurgitate everything that they've learned throughout their entire life. Now, if they manage to live through that experience, make a bunch of money, sell a bunch of records, guess what? They're just regurgitating all the negative stuff that they heard back into the black community for like the next child to come up and listen to that and just go through the exact same thing that they went through. And it's unfortunate that people won't call this out because they want to be like, it's none of my business. I saw so many people being like, well, you don't know how he grew up and all this stuff like that. What I do know is that I see a bunch of people around him who look like adults who, in my opinion, are probably well aware that the stuff that's being talked about in this song is not good for a child to listen to, regardless of how lame it sounds. This is a child. And I guess his dad is in the video. Somebody said that. That doesn't make it any better. Like, if your dad is in the video, he should be monitoring this, right? And what it is that you're doing. No, it's the internet who's taking on that role. But I say this because, like I said, this is how it starts, right? These kids do this. They see these things, they indulge in them, and this is all they know. You can't blame this child because this child has been influenced. Who you blame are the adults around him who are allowing this to happen. So it's unfortunate that so many people are condoning this because they don't want to get up all in these people's business, or they think that this is cool or funny or whatever the case may be. Because then, and I'm not even just saying this kid specifically, I'm just saying in general, we look and every day there's so many black people who kill each other, mainly black boys and black men killing each other. And we look around and we're like, oh my goodness, it's the white man's fault. Like, no, like you can't use that excuse forever. You can't. At some point, we have to take some accountability. And I know that that's not sexy to do because then that means that we got to look at ourselves and be like, man, we have flaws that we might need to work on, but it's necessary for the sake of this kid and kids like him to make sure that, number one, they can grow up, period. And number two, that they can grow up in an environment that is healthy and that has positivity around them. Not a bunch of this craziness that is going to act as a catalyst for leading them on a path that is not good at all whatsoever. And I don't know why that has to be debated. To me, it seems pretty straightforward, but I guess people's priorities are different based on what they want for their community. I want black people to thrive. I want all people to thrive, but it's no secret that I'm black. So when I look at the community that I reside in, there's a lot of stuff that frustrates me. And you can attribute it to all these other things or whatnot, but I'm big on accountability. When I see certain things, I'm like, this could, I mean, just throwing something out here, this could be our fault, right? This could have something to do with us, black people as a whole, and the culture that we tolerate. It's just something to think about, right? Because this child is not at fault, but this child could grow up and live a life that is congruent with whatever is being talked about in this song and maybe the thousands of other songs that he's probably listened to and he's been influenced by. That's horrible. Like, not everything needs to be justified just because it's somebody else doing it, right? It's none of my business, so I mean, it is what it is. Like, no, you giving your input on this is actually more helpful than anything, especially if it's one of wishing for this kid to be around positivity and good influences or whatnot. Now, I'm not saying you got to do a deep dive into these people's lives. You nor I know who these people are. But from the information that they have given us and the business that they have allowed us to be in, this is not good. I want this kid to be able to get here, if that's what this kid wants to do. And I see it all the time. I experience it because so many people that I talk to, like they're in awe of, I'm graduating college, which I appreciate it, but to me it's odd because I'm like, this is just something that I set out to do and now I'm doing it, right? Now, college is not the standard for success. It's definitely not where I'm getting at. I think that college nowadays is probably more detrimental for a lot of kids than anything. You get into a lot of debt. A vast majority of people don't really know what it is that they want to do, and college is imposed on them by expectations. So I only encourage college if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or all these other cliche jobs that actually need that degree. But when I look at the numbers, I see people who look like me not getting here. Not because they just choose not to because, they found some other great career or whatnot. No, it's because half of them are dead and then the other half find themselves in really, really bad situations based off the life choices that they've made, which were catapulted by the influences around them. Trust and believe, I've seen it. So, we got to do better with this, man. Like, this whole, minding my own business thing, or people got to mind their own business. Yeah, to a certain degree. Like, you got to mind your own business enough to make sure that you're doing what it is that you need to do. But if you see something that's not right, if you see kids being involved in something and it's not right, there's nothing wrong with calling it out. There's nothing wrong with addressing it. I don't understand where we've gotten to make it seem like there's something wrong with that. No, these people are next. Like, these people are coming after me. So it's important that, number one, they're alive, and number two, they're setting themselves up to be able to succeed in any endeavor that they go into, right? That is beneficial for society as a whole, right? Food for thought. And on that note, I'm going to go graduate. Finish this thing off. I love you guys so much. Thank you for engaging with all of this, right? This is surreal to me every single time I do this because it was something that I've wanted to do for so long. So now that I'm actually doing it, I don't know, it's crazy to me, right? But I got one more thing to do, and that's to walk across that stage. So, and don't be afraid to get in somebody's business if it's going to help them out, because we're here to be there for each other, right? We're not in this thing by ourselves, so go get in somebody's business.